All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining. We should have more people joining along the way, so you hear some doorbells and can everybody hear me okay? All right,
Yes.
thank
Yes.
you. So I'll give you the background, all of maybe a minute, but Kate and Abby host the Freelance Remuda, and it's a podcast, and they had me on there. So Jennifer and I have co-hosted retreats before. Jennifer Dennison down here. Um, Now, after the podcast, I mentioned to Kate and Abby that, you know what, we should all join forces and do something together. I think with all of our skill sets around the Western media space, there would be a lot to gather from this kind of retreat. So we all decided that we would, it sounded like a good idea, and we would table it until we went to the annual horse publications in Tempe. And so over a few drinks and in hot summer air, we decided that we would go forward with this retreat in March. So we wanted to put it together in a way that for anybody, for any skill level, for anybody looking for authenticity, getting interviews, whether you want to put together a portfolio and submit it to publications, or you just want to write in a blog or just write a post yourself, you can do that, and we can help you with those skills, from taking better pictures and diving deep into creativity to learning interview techniques and getting out some of those um, must have quotes for articles, and not only articles, but just even a blog or a Facebook post or an Instagram post or something like that. Now, of course, with this retreat, where there's a whole host of other things that we're going to be doing, like digging into lighting, digging into editing. From the photography side of things, I'm going to go over things like how to work quickly in small spaces and use any light, not just be a natural light photographer, but be an available light photographer, meaning that you can use any light possible, whether it's indirect barn door light or artificial light like up here, or a flash, or just anything like that. And of course, with Jennifer, Abby, and Kate, these gals are powerhouses in the Western media space. So I'll let them talk about the things that they're going to bring to the table.
Well, I'm Kate Byars. I was in the red shirt when you saw the screen. I am from actually outside of Fredericksburg, Texas, Harper, Texas. And I am a writer and photographer and previous editor of a couple different magazines, namely the Rain Cow Horse News. And I have actually attended one of Chris's photography workshops and really enjoyed it myself. And I have worked with Jennifer at Western Horseman for a long time. We were both on staff there. And then Abigail and I went to school together and both kind of started in the Western media industry at the same time as baby assistant editors. So one thing that the three of us that have more of a strength in writing, I think, we all went through the magazine process. We understand what it's like to take an idea, gather the story, the interviews, put it down in story form, and many times also take the photos that would illustrate that story. Then we saw it all the way through to press a lot of times, and we have all been in it for so long that we now also have the social media and digital component added to a lot of our storytelling. So that is one thing that we really wanted to bring to this workshop. And that's kind of the whole like Western media backpack journalism aspect of it, where a lot of times these days, publishers or editors who are assigning a story to someone, they are asking you to do every single aspect of it, from contacting the source, setting up a time to do the interview and photographs, while also gathering content that will work for digital media as well. And that works for if you're covering an event like a horse show, or you're going out to a ranch to do a story. They really want that whole package. And we thought, boy, we all have a little bit different take, a little bit different strength, and we could really help people find a creative niche, maybe find a little bit of a different eye when you're viewing a subject, whether it's for writing or photography, and how to kind of present it in a way that makes you the complete package to an editor or a content creator, or a company of some kind. So that's me. I'm Kate. Oh, Lewis is in the waiting room. So,
Yay.
who wants to go next?
Jennifer, do you want to go next?
So I'm Jennifer Dennison, and I started my career in 1996. I'm a lot older than Kate and Abby, and I started at Horse and Rider magazine, and I worked there about 7 years and went to Western Horseman, where I spent 20 years as senior editor, and my specialty was cowboy culture, Western art, Western lifestyle, Western music, you name it. So I'd say that's kind of my strength. And and Chris can speak a lot of this, is a lot of what we do is about building relationships, whether it's behind the lens or, in my case, Kate and Abby's case, in our interviews. And I've always had this philosophy that I want to go into an assignment making people feel like they're the only person in that room, the only thing that's important to me at that moment, and leave them a little bit better, and have them have confidence that I will tell their story with authenticity. And what I really want to get across here is, you don't have to be a writer. You don't even have to want to be a magazine writer. You know, right now, at this phase of my career, I really want to blog now. I feel like I have a lot to say, and I think everybody has a story or a lot to say, or maybe you want to write a book, or just improve your social media. And I think as writers, Kate, Abby, and I can really help with that, and form relationships with you and help you connect with other people. And I think that's just a really important aspect of this, and that we're not expecting everybody to be professional writers or even aspire to be, just to write your story on the story down, or tell your story through your photographs.
That's so right, Jennifer. That really is. Abby?
Well, I'm Abby Boatwright. And like mentioned, I have been a journalist in the horse world for something like 18 years. I've been on staff at Breed Magazines, Paint and Horse Journal, Quarter Horse Journal internship. And then I have been a freelancer since 2011. And I write for mainly Western performance horse magazines and Western lifestyle magazines. And I think kind of what Kate was saying, I feel like my strength that I can hopefully share with you guys is that background at magazines. And I'm currently an editor. I'm the editor for Western Life Today magazine. And so seeing the need for freelancers that can deliver photos that match your story, that tell the story that you are gathering, articles that are clean copy, that are what the editor needs, fills a hole. I can help share a little bit of that to help bolster you. If you're interested in, writing for a magazine, there's a real need for people who can write, take photos, do the social media, deliver everything in a package. There's a lot of room for that. And so helping you craft a pitch or get connected with magazines and finding the right story ideas, how you can get inspiration. Kate and I just went on a trip, and we just sat there and brainstormed story ideas just from the location that we were at, and gathered on site with photos and interviews to take home to write a story. And those are the kinds of things that we want to share with you guys, if that's something that you're interested in. But, like Jennifer said, if all you want is to tell your own story better, or be a little bit more authentic on social media, or start a blog, we can also help you craft those skills too.
And this workshop, which is March 21st through 24th, our group has really worked together to kind of find a creative place to stay, the Splendid Inn. And in Fredericksburg, there are other opportunities to just connect and be creative as a group, whether it's conversing, visiting a top 50 Texas monthly barbecue, which is really a big deal here in Texas, or going to a winery or visiting one of the many historic buildings around here. It's an old German town. And so there's lots of really cool places to visit, things to photograph. It's always inspiring. So we're hoping that the location and the company inspire you as well as what we're covering. Chris, do you want to kind of go through the itinerary a bit?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks. For those of you that have been to my photography retreats in the past, and I can pick out many of you here. Lewis, nice picture up there on your mantle. Got to give you props. Thank you for that, brother. Adam, joining. Thank you. Good to see you, my friend. Randy, of course, always. One of the things that I try and do at my retreats is get everybody together, not separate, but together, because there's the intangible value of the camaraderie that you feel shoulder to shoulder, whether it's 11 o'clock at night and maybe you're having a beer after we went through a day of shooting and seeing how somebody else edits sitting next to you on the couch. You learn little things, not only from those of us that are presenting, but from each other, on how your workflow is and things like that. So camaraderie is huge, especially going back a slide, and you don't have to do that, Kate, but housing everybody at the Splendid Inn is going to be crucial to this retreat as well. All right, let's go to the next one. So content creation in small groups, rotating through photography and writing basics, along with interviewing skills, photo editing, and lighting techniques. Now we put, some of the highlights that we're going to be doing at this retreat. And photography and writing basics, I always make sure that everybody starts at ground zero. So no matter where, how much experience you have or where you've been in the industry, I try and make sure that everybody speaks the same language, so we know what we're talking about. And then as far as the writing basics, ladies, somebody want to take that?
Well, we won't be judging grammar and comma placement, but I think we are more going to suggest some ways to start a story, right? Like setting the place, the giving a mood, and interviewing, some question suggestions to bring out some great answers. Like I think Jennifer one time told me when we were at Western Horseman and doing Women of the West, she had a question that she told me to ask the subjects, and it was, what does the word cowgirl mean to you? And that always lent itself to a really good quote. So things like that. Does anyone want to add anything?
Jennifer is the queen of the excellent questions, so y'all are in for a treat from her.
She definitely is.
I'm
But
also
you also listening too. You're good at listening as well.
That's a big part of it. I think we might do some writing prompts every day just to warm people up. I think part of writing is it's just to literally sit down and write, whether it's 5 minutes or 30 minutes a day. And so, I think we could do some writing prompt work, just to get your mind going and get your creativity flowing. I think that we can also address some things on how to get your story started, what to do if nothing is coming. What do you do if you can't get anything on the paper? And writer's block is definitely a real thing. I think we can all attest to, and there's a lot of ways to get that out. But something about writing is, it's not good or bad, it's the act of writing. And whether you're a professional or just somebody looking into it, we can give you some good advice, because it's more about the act of it every day that I think is important.
And writing doesn't mean that you're writing a blog or writing a novel. It could even mean putting together one paragraph caption that goes along with one of your images or a video that you're sharing on social media, and kind of connecting you with some exercises or some thoughts, having a list of questions that you might put together to ask yourself or to ask a friend that give you those authentic answers that you can add to content across all mediums, so that it shines with that authenticity, and it's not a generic quote that, you know, was found on Canva or something like that. So it
And I
can
know
really help set the mood also. Sorry,
through our years, we've seen the media industry change so much. You know, when I used to go out on a story, when I started in 1996, I would get 10 rolls of film and travel with 10 rolls of film, and I had to get, you know, 3-4 stories for that. And now we have unlimited film with our digital cameras, but with that came more time editing. I feel like I lost a little bit of creativity with it because I could just shoot a whole bunch. And then we've also had to gather social media content, video, website stories, and writing for the web is very different than writing for a publication. There's a thing called SEO that can really sap all creativity, but I don't know, I think it's kind of a challenge to find a way to do that. So we can touch on that as well if you have interest in, and that's really important if you're going to write a blog or anything like that.
All right.
We're definitely getting some hands-on work too, right, Chris?
We are getting a ton of hands-on work. Practice action portrait photography. Here, something that's going to be distinctly different in this retreat versus other retreats that I've done is we're going to be also focusing on event photography. Now, for Abby, for Kate, for Jennifer, for myself, we've all done event photography, and it can be daunting. I would not say for me, I'm not an event photographer, but I can cover an event and get those images out. So we're going to be going over event photography, like, you know, maybe a raining cow horse or something like that. Craft social media posts, and then also tackle writing equine event coverage for profiles and other types of stories. All right. An immersive workshop, that it is, and there's those rolls of film that Jennifer was talking about. So you guys will provide masks for the dark room for it. Just kidding. No dark rooms here. We will be covering how to get connected and get assignments, interview and photograph on location, gather social media content, write for print and digital, and more. We'll also share what equipment we pack and our process from creation to publication. And there'll be time for questions, group conversations, tips to get creativity flowing, plus time to explore the Texas wine country.
Megan says she misses the dark room.
Oh, no, you don't. Come on.
I don't.
No.
I don't.
Light room all day long.
Terrible.
And I'll add this. I think I've been to 4 of Chris's workshops now. I think 3 or 4. And there's something about the camaraderie there, that even just being around people and playing off people, it's even if this isn't like your career goal, it's just learning a different skill and meeting new people. And I was telling Kate this morning, I have a writing assignment that actually came from one of Chris's retreats from a editor. She has a marketing firm in Kansas in the cattle industry, and she happens to need a story on a horse that this ranch has, and so it was a great networking opportunity for me, because I ended up getting an assignment out of coming to Chris's workshops. But
And Kate, you did too, right?
Yes. I did. Well, I really liked Mick Stud and I liked his stories. So we did Western Horseman Partners on him.
Yeah.
So told everybody all about him. Yep.
And
I think there's always opportunity to feed off of other creatives
Mhm.
and, take a tidbit from everybody that you are around. I went to a branding at the first of the year in Santa Ynez, and I posted a photo of smoke and a brand, and Chris commented, and I ashamedly messaged him back. I knew it wasn't as good as the Chris Dickinson smoke shop, but I tried, and I think that everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own comfort level of getting in there and telling a story. And
Yep.
whether you're looking for a way to tell stories that will get you paid, aka working for a publication or an online magazine or just doing social media, I think that this workshop will boost your skill set and help you find and achieve those goals with a little bit more confidence after working on it.
I think what we're really doing here is giving those that come to this retreat the skills for custom content creation, whether that in any facet. So whether it be for your blog or Facebook or Instagram, or even sending out 2 magazines, we'll give you the tools to make that happen.
Definitely.
And there are a lot of,
Um,
for those of you that are into photography, there's a lot of need for event photographers out there. And I have launched myself into that the past year and a half, and it's a different mindset, different skill set. The editing, the posting is really different, but at the same time, I know for me, I just have this urge to be better at it and get it's very challenging, and it's, if you're into photography, it's a great way to earn a little bit of extra money.
definitely.
I think the common theme between us and anybody that I do retreats with, the one thing that you're going to find over and over and over again is just the fundamental uh, need to share, to give back, to help those that may not feel like um, their creativity isn't sparked. We can give you some extra tools to do that, or some extra ideas, but helping you explore and giving back in a fundamental nature that helps you grow.
It's our
So,
favorite time of the night.
yay, it is.
Well, it's my favorite. It's where I don't get to talk and maybe other people ask questions.
I
So
just wanted to mention, if you joined in at any point during this presentation, I'm recording it, so I can, we have one more person coming in. But I'm recording this session, and I'll email it to everybody who is on this call, so that you can watch the whole thing over again if you want to.
awesome. Thank you, Abby. Well, we've talked a little bit or a lot of bit about the March workshop. Do you all have any questions? Go ahead and unmute and let's all talk over each other in typical Zoom fashion.
We can raise hands if you want.
We could.
Kate, do you want to talk about a few of our venues?
We do have some options and they're not finalized, but one place that I'm hoping that we can visit to not only enjoy the food, but also do some kind of photography work is a Texas Monthly Top 50 barbecue joint that's across the street. It's kind of unique. The husband is from Texas, the wife is from Korea, so you get some very cool fusion barbecue there. There's a couple of other venues that we are visiting with, and then we are going to a horse trainer's facility that is on the Pedernales River, and it's very pretty, but it can offer some photography challenges. She also has a very large arena and cattle, so that's for that event photography kind of aspect that we talked about. She's also going to have a few foals. Number 1 just got born. I'm stealing it already. I've claimed it.
There you
So
go. So
she's so precious. But yeah, so I saw Randy and Michelle, you guys unmuted. Do you have questions?
Mm-mm. No questions here.
Kate, do you have a question? I saw you unmuted. Awesome.
Randy, always good to see your face, friend.
Even this face, right?
Even that face, Randy.
Lewis, you unmuted. Do you have a question?
I actually do.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's not about the event. It's actually just a general question for Chris and Jennifer. So I just got done in early January doing an event with 25 family photo shoots and 4 main group photo shoots. I'm actually sitting here while I'm in this editing as well, because I still have a lot to edit. And it's all for a charity event that I did. But any suggestions for going through too many thousand photos and editing them in a timely manner?
Yeah. Oh, I think my connection's bad, Lewis. Oh, gonna hang up. No. Yeah, look, over the course of 8 years and doing the help portrait work, we photographed over 12,000 people, and you're peppered with that, whether it's doing the help portrait work like families, or whether you go to a high school rodeo and shoot all the kids and all the events. You need an efficient way to get through that. Couple quick hitters right away. If you have typical exposures across the board, make sure that you set up presets and copy those across. When you're culling the images, without seeing what your library looks like, being able to cull those images quickly is absolutely paramount to getting through those. So between my assistant and I, when we shot the high school rodeo here in Ogden, we ended up with somewhere around 7,500 images over the course of 2 days. And we were able to turn those images within 24 hours. And one of the big reasons for that is that we had presets that we could sync throughout the Lightroom library and narrow those images down, one, by using the rate button on the back of the camera, but that doesn't help you now because you're already post-shoot. But what I would say is, first of all, the Lightroom presets, and then second, the culling. And both of those things kind of work together in that. And when I cull, I'm looking for the immediate things. So each one of my images start out with 2 stars. And whether that's 5, maybe I took 5 in a row, and 2 of the 5 get 2 stars, then that's my first row of culling. I just go down to the 2 stars and then choose between the 2, and the one that doesn't make it gets a 1 star, and that's out of the lineup. And then finally, all my 2s get exported out to a folder. What's that looking for you right now, Lewis?
Great. Yeah, that's a lot of help. Kind of similar to the process I've been trying to do, but definitely not in the 24-hour zone for that. So
No, I can't do it in 24 hours.
Do you have a time frame that you're supposed to get them back?
no, I was trying to have them done within a week, but that has come and gone. My actual day job, I lost 2 teams and a couple of things in the week that I was gone. So it blew up, and I had to get on top of that. I'm finally on top of it. So I'm hoping maybe within a week or 2 to have them done.
You're talking about families. Hey, Kate, you're talking about doing family shoots, and I'll go back to the help portrait days, where each photographer, we were shooting for 12 hours and every family gets 15 minutes. So whether it's a family of 5 or a family of 12 or a family of 3, they each get their 15 minutes. So what I would do, let's just take a family of 5, is I would do the whole family together. Then I do mom and dad, and then the kids together, and then the kids individually. And so you have a batch of images that you have to do for each, for each one that you do. The advantage again to the stuff that I was doing there was, you're thinking about this beforehand, but when you can make that exposure as consistent as possible and use lighting, I'd have my light set up so that the exposure is exactly the same on every image, unless creatively somebody comes in with a pipe or something like that. I'm going crazy on you right now. So, but try and group your exposures together, Lewis, and go through them individually like that.
That actually might be very helpful. Thank you.
And I'll add one more thing. The actual art, or I guess it can be an art. The art of culling your images is something that is not talked about often. From the Western space, of course, one of the easiest examples is we go through event photography and here's somebody reining up on their horse and you can see the horse's tonsils and all that stuff. Well, that's a quick no. Obviously that doesn't get a star at all. You teach your eye to cull the images, to see the ones that are the quick hitters that you star and will end up going on. Anybody else have anything to add, Jennifer?
Well, that's what I was going to add is I know when I'm doing this now, and I'm by far not as quick, but I immediately get rid of anything where the horse's mouth is open, the eyes are closed, because anything like that. And then similar exposures, I just try and pick the best one, and then I do the preset, and then if somebody wants the actual image, then I'll go in and do a deep edit.
Something I wanted to mention about the symposium that we're doing is we are also going to talk about business needs. So marketing yourself, contracts, branding your business, building relationships with editors, what you can do with your extra photos. If you, some ways you can use it, like stock photography, and just like business practices that will help you if you want to be working with magazines or with brands, things like that.
Kind of like the stuff that isn't talked about, like what Chris was saying. Culling is an art. Well, so is like pitching to an editor or to a brand, things like that. So.
Good question, Liz.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, we have several spots filled for this workshop, but if you are looking for more information, more detail, definitely go to Chris's website. It's the top one. It's his first workshop of the year. I feel honored that he is coming to Texas. I think it's just for the bluebonnets and the barbecue, but he's coming to Texas.
Can we give mad props to Abby for that image right there?
Thank you. That was one that has never seen the light of day, and I was like, this is the time to use this photo.
It's the perfect marketing photo. We had a really beautiful bluebonnet season last year, and so hopefully this will be about the time when the wildflowers show up again this year. But if you want some more information, it is here on Chris's lovely website, and we would love to help you find your creative juice, find your way into the media industry in a paid way, or simply to make your own storytelling more personal and unique.
Hey, hold on a minute.
Oh,
Kate,
okay.
in all the years that we've known each other, you don't have a question?
I apologize for my unmute, but I couldn't get my face up because I haven't used my phone for Zoom in a long time. And I came in late, so I was like, oh gosh, I should just watch the replay. and I probably have a million questions, but yeah, I definitely want to get into more submitting stuff to publication, which Chris and I have talked about. So this was definitely an interest for me, but like I said, I came in a little bit late, so I'm like, I'm sure that you have answered the questions that I have,
No,
but
you can ask. That's okay.
You can ask, yeah.
well, I've never, okay, so I've been doing this for almost 15 years now, and I've never tried to submit anything to a publication. And so I've just been working so much just for people. And so this is kind of a new thing that I'm excited about trying. And honestly, I don't even like know exactly where to start. I've asked Chris a few questions about it. I did make a contact with one editor accidentally. But from there, I'm just like, yeah, fumbling around. And so this was definitely, when this popped up, it was an interest to hear more about it. So I'm excited for the replay, and excited to look in and see. I think you had this going on last year or the year before. Did you guys do a?
This is the first one
This is the
that
first
us
one.
four
Okay.
have gotten together for.
Okay.
With our
Yeah,
combined
so
powers, we will form.
yeah, that's awesome. I think this is a really great idea, because I think okay, so here's my question. In our industry, working for you know, ranch photography, let's say, where we're shooting more of that, I don't think that getting exposure through SEO is as powerful as exposure through being published. Would you agree with that? Like, if you can get some of your photos published, that helps being found if you're pushing into a new area in photography, like ranch lifestyle.
Well, I think it depends on your ultimate goal. If you are trying to kind of be like an advocate influencer on social media, or if you are trying to create, what is the word I'm looking for? Sorry. If you're trying to cultivate a career by being published and having a portfolio that would maybe attract some brands and some editors and some magazines, but you can also do both, I think, in print. You can bring awareness about ranching through stories and photographs that run in print magazines, and they don't necessarily have to be Western focused magazines. We just saw a writer's newsletter go out about some different travel and Western lifestyle stories that like Wall Street Journal is interested in hearing pitches for. So,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Made me put my thinking hat on, but
Yeah.
either way, if you wanted social media, digital tracks, or if you wanted to go into publishing, but you wanted to have that produced on like a website for like Garden Gun or Western Horseman or something, you'll still need to pitch to the editor, and that's going to be similar whether it's digital or print. And we definitely can go over that, talk about pitching, interviewing, things like that, which I'm not sure when you joined, but we did mention interviewing and talking about some questions that would get the source thinking and hopefully generate some wonderful quotes, things like that. So
Yeah.
the way questions can pull out authenticity in a source.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely what I would be interested in learning more about, and just building those relationships. I think that's kind of what it comes down to too, is just reaching out to people in the industry. Being in Montana, obviously I work for a lot of ranchers, and just being able to kind of network outside of the state, because it does benefit the people that I work for here. The more awareness you bring to agriculture, I mean, it seems like that's kind of where we're a little bit more focused, and at least in my business, what that does for the agricultural industry as well. As photographers, I think we have a lot of power there to like really show the real life and give people that inside look. So
definitely. And I, even though I no longer edit a magazine, I think that this holds true across the Western genre, and that staff numbers are getting smaller, budgets for travel are getting smaller. So if you can get connected with different writers and editors where you're in an area of need and they could perhaps gather the story, but you could do the photos, that helps you become indispensable. There's a gal that I usually reach out to in Nevada when I need certain photos because I know the quality and I know that she'll get them to me and they'll fit the need. So, and I've only met her in person one time. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
technology is amazing.
yes.
Way we can connect now, and yeah, yep.
I'll add on that I see a lot of photographers now who are becoming writers. And that was
Yeah.
something I always aspired to be. Was I wanted to be able to go to one place and be the person that did it. And I think that if you're interested in being published and have an interest in writing, I think it makes you all the more valuable. And
I see, yeah.
and a lot, and even because as the photographer, sometimes the writer's not there, but as the photographer, you're observing and feeling and sensing, and to convey that to a writer, or if you have that skill yourself, you're the one there, you're the one that's telling the story. And I think it makes you all the more valuable. And even I've seen a couple photographers lately that have been published and they're writing the stories. And I think a photographer has that ability because we're all visual people, and we're feeling people, sensory people. So I think it makes you more valuable. Or you can coordinate with the writer and tell him that, or tell him, who this person was and what that person was like, and it'll help the writer a lot as well. And I think that being that you are on these ranches, you're a trusted resource. It's not going to be a set up scene, and some mainstream publications don't know the difference. So you know that you're providing
Interesting.
authentic quality sources to convey the agriculture world. But
yeah,
I'm just amazed at the number of Western photographers right now who are getting into the writing part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, that we're very sensory people. We feel I think that's what makes us good photographers, is we can feel the scene, feel the moment, and then if we can write about it, that yeah.
For some of my favorite photographers I follow, whether they're Western or not, I want to know what's going on in there. And a lot of them they've gotten to where they are writing a little bit more in their posts, or linking to something that tells more of the story. And I think it just makes you connect with your followers that much more, and it brings credibility to you as well.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree. That's a really good point.
The sound of silence.
I would actually have another question. You open Pandora's box here, Chris. An idea that I've had is not only to get published, but what do publications, how do they feel about, like, an article that may be submitted might also end up on that photographer's own blog? Is this something where when you submit something to a publication, say you took the photos, you wrote the article, you send it in, but if it's resting on your own blog, is that a no-no?
I think it depends on what the magazine wants, right? Some magazines want exclusivity. I struggle with that. I don't put a whole lot of my stuff on social media or on my website. But I don't know. It depends.
Right now, that's where I'm at. I'm working on launching a blog, but it's going back through my archives And
Mhm.
I personally have, and Kate might be a good source for this, because Kate talks me off the ledge on this stuff. I'm one of these people where if I pitch a story or I have a story assignment for somebody, I just want it to be theirs. I don't
Yeah.
want to share it or repurpose it for anybody else, which Kate and Abby are masters at doing this. I'm not. But I think that you can use a blog to promote the story as it's coming up.
Okay.
And pair
Yeah.
it with it, but you have a different take on it. Let your
Yep.
publication have the story, but you either
Mhm.
share a different aspect of it, or you share your personal experience in the blog and use it to help promote the publication, and vice versa.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't
That
have a
makes sense.
blog, but I'll do a reel sometimes after a trip, like a pack trip into Glacier or something like
Mhm.
that. I'll do a short little reel.
Mhm.
And I'll usually say the story's coming and Western Horseman, and fall or something like that. And then once it comes out, I try to add a little bit more information when I do post photos or things like that. And I usually wait until it has published, because some magazines are funny that way. I'll
Mhm.
wait to even post like shots of the articles, like January's content for Western Horseman. I posted, I don't even know what day it is. Maybe this morning, maybe yesterday. I can't remember. But I waited, even though, because like February came out around January 15th. So technically February's issue was out in January and I could have posted it earlier, but I waited till the end of January to post my content in the January issue. Simply to give it enough time on newsstands. And that's a holdover thought from when I worked at the magazine. But I have fun making the reels. I make them for myself. I don't have a ton of followers or anything like that, but I
Mhm.
enjoy making it, and I think the source appreciates it too. And then making the reels helps me when I have to make a reel for an actual work client. So, just doing more like that.
I'm going to
But
be learning from Kate and taking notes. Literally, Kate is so good at this. At our workshop, I'm going to be taking notes.
Yeah.
I do love the reels. Oh, Chris, I think you might be muted. Oh, the great Chris Dickinson.
There we go. Oh
silenced.
my God, I
There
know.
he goes.
Yeah, chalk that up to professional courtesy.
Awesome. Did that answer your question,
Mhm.
Kate?
Yes. Thank you. That did. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
And
Yep.
once if you do get a story published, I've went back and contacted some of the magazines I wrote for, and asked if I can either republish it in my blog with credit to when that issue ran, at least and this is from the magazine world, usually a year.
Okay. Yep.
Magazine year. But I've been writing some blogs where I tell the story behind what went on behind the shoot, or there was a funny anecdote or something. But then I asked permission if I could go back and reprint.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I would let them have a year, or talk to them about it. Some might not
Mhm.
mind.
I wouldn't. I would email as soon as the next issue is out and ask if you can have the PDF and when it's allowed to post. And you would be shocked when they say that you can post
You can
it.
put the PDF if you're writing
Yeah,
a story, or
but you can.
So
I
you
don't know.
could
I think they're getting more lenient, Jennifer, honestly, except for APHA. Right, Abby? They're like
Yeah,
6 months.
APHA is
You have to
6
wait 6
months.
months.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe I just do it anyway, Jennifer. Bad example.
That's not a best business practice,
It's
Kate.
not a best business practice. I ask.
the PDF's good, but I also think it's really cool to offer content that's not in there.
Yeah.
More personal perspective, and
Or additional photos.
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah. Or like your favorite photos that maybe that didn't fit the magazine's exact parameters, but stuff that you really loved.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
And
to
it
kind
really
of get
helps-
some more traction out of that stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
It helps, and it helps the publication because you're promoting it.
how do you know what to pick and what to write about? And I mean, obviously you kind of research the publication or maybe you've been following it for a while, but are there tips
Oh,
on how to
Kate, this sounds exactly like what we're going to go over at the workshop, March 21st through 24th. You sly little devil. You sly devil.
Well, I'm writing the date down right now.
There's a link in the chat if you want to go sign up.
Awesome. Well, that's good.
Questions, you
At least
guys?
yeah, I now know that that's going to be answered there. That's good to know.
Megan said, I'm going to read this for our recording. Megan said, I agree with Kate. I asked for a PDF and then I'll include part of the story in my blog, then link to the pub site. If they're okay with sharing the PDF, I'll link that. As long as you link to their website and you have their permission, most will let you do it just a week or two after publication. Yeah, key is getting permission. That's the big
Except
key.
for APHA.
Yeah, APHA won't let you do that. But you can try and they will tell you,
You can
6
try.
months.
No, these type of business things, these questions, this is great. Sit around the Splendid Inn fire, craft beer, glass of wine in your hand, answer away all night. And Jennifer, as she said earlier, has been doing this longest, but the three of us have often visited about a lot of these same questions. Kate, that you raised, the stuff that you don't often get to learn about, which is the business side of things, or, oh my gosh, like I want to go get this story, but it's going to cost me X amount, but they're only offering to pay me this much. Like, what could I do to also get another revenue stream if I go and do this trip to get this story? We talk about it a ton on our podcast, and it's a never ending conversation about how to be a better business person while also being ethical and supportive of the other publications, doing the right thing by all of your subjects, things like that. So
Something that
So,
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
no, go ahead. I'll let you guys finish what you're saying.
No, I just wanted to say something that the four of us have talked about a lot, and Kate and I especially, is we want to make equine publications better. We want to elevate our industry, and to do that, we want to equip other writers and photographers to be able to produce good work that will fit in the magazine and will make these magazines readable and enjoyable and educational. And so we're trying to do that with this workshop. This is just one of the avenues that we would like to do that. Go ahead.
Jim.
All right, so I've got a question. It's not so much about the retreat. Do you mind if I ask a broad question about journalism? Because it's something I know very little about.
Sure.
So if, let's say you're a photographer who's done no writing, no publication work ever before, how do you get a start into a magazine if you have no resume, so to speak, to show them of your writing capabilities? Like as a photographer, you can send them links to your website, your social medias, send them a physical copy of a portfolio. But for a writing portfolio, how do you get your foot in the door with a publication if you want to include your writing?
I would start with regional publications. I don't know what Montana has. Like down here, we have what's called the Arizona Horse Connection. Colorado has what's called the Fence Post. Ranch World Ads. They're always looking for content, and they honestly will take about anything as long as it's relevant to their readership. And it's a good way. It may not pay, or it pays very little, but it's a good way to get samples of your writing out there that you can then build on. That's what I did growing up. I started writing for regional publications when I was like 15 years old, and I'm still doing for some reason.
Jennifer's the queen of unpaid work.
Well, that actually kind of goes into the second part of the question I have, which is, I've talked to Chris about this before with photographing, clients. How do you go about making yourself affordable, giving yourself a good price, but also trying to get your shoe in. But if I've never wrote anything before, I don't want to price myself as professional, because I'm obviously not. But I feel like if you don't price yourself enough, well, they maybe perhaps not take you as seriously. So how do you find that medium ground?
I have some bad news for you.
Yeah, we have
we're gonna
really
say the
bad
same
news
thing.
for you, Jim.
The magazines,
Yeah.
they tell you what they can pay you.
Yeah.
There's almost no room for negotiation. Sorry, me and Kate, we're gonna say
Oh,
the
that
same
makes it
thing.
easy.
Exact same thing. Yeah.
And
They
I'll-
have a
Sorry.
rate for a type of article. They have a rate for like some short department versus a feature. They magazine budgets are pretty tight. So yeah.
But if you provide photos, you will get paid more. That's how you can, like a story may get one rate, but if you provide photos, you can get a package or you can get paid per photo. Also, bad news, it's probably not going to pay. Magazines will not pay as much as like commercial for sure, or some other avenues. But you're published in a magazine, so.
it's a profession of passion.
Yes. Way to frame that
Passion and
positively.
poppers. Passion and poppers.
We love what we do, though. We really do love it. But yeah.
Would you say that being published and getting your work out in magazines leads to more commercial work?
It can, I think. I think last year and this year are the first two. Well, it's because I didn't really try before, but like that story with RA, I got a property and model release. So what Western Horseman didn't use, like I sold a couple to AQHA, and then I got a property and model release for another article, and Secede bought an extra photo of me, of my subject. So like I'm actually attempting to do more with the photos from those shoots that are not going into print. So
there's a method to bridging that gap too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily that it was published. It's that you took the photos on that shoot and then how you parlay that into connecting with brands.
Yes.
So, I mean, publishing does give you, a byline. You have stuff for your portfolio. This was published in this magazine, but for me, it's more that while I was at that shoot, I took these other photos that would work for commercial.
I look at who pays the magazine bills. It's not the readership.
advertisers.
The advertisers do. That's who you want to go after. For me, as a freelance, I want to go after the advertisers. That's where the money's at.
And I personally think it's building connections with the sources. Like the Browns told AQHA about that photo shoot, and that's how they contacted me. And same thing with the other gal, her sponsor asked her for photos and she had them contact me. So I think it's just building that network and building your connections, and then having the business acumen to know that you need model releases and property releases and things like that to properly utilize images. And to read your contract with the magazine and then tell them to amend it and not take it at first glance and then move on, because they will say they own your whole photo shoot and you will laugh and say no.
Or some other terms. We will get into that.
Right. There's so many things to talk about at this workshop, which is we kind of have jokingly named our text thread the Hitchhikers group, like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, because there's so much to know about working as a freelancer, whether you want to get into the media industry, publishing, any kind of thing. So we tried to be as generic as possible in the name of this because we're covering so many things that make up an entire toolkit.
on the commercial side, Kate, do you tag, like if you're on a ranch and they're wearing Schaefer Outfitter or Wrangler, do you tag them or anything like that?
I tag my friends at Kimes because I know them.
No, the
But
other,
no, like
the other Kate.
oh, sorry. I was like, no.
Because that's
Yes,
that's
you
that's worked for me.
Okay. I
Like
have
if-
in the past, yeah.
Yeah, if I know that there's a company in there, I've had that work, and sometimes I'll purposely like take some extra photos. Like there's a scarf company I'm doing some writing for. So I carry around these scarves with me, and if I'm photographing a cool ranch woman for an article, I make her wear one of
Oh.
these scarves and I take
do
separate
you
photos.
really?
What?
Jennifer
Yeah, I've heard of
Dennison,
that.
you shameless hussy.
I
I
had
love
no
it.
idea.
That's my
Good
new-
for you.
Yep.
Good for you, Jennifer.
And you may only get $50 or something, but it's also
That's
really nice
fantastic.
portfolio. I recently photographed a girl here in Flagstaff, and I really just wanted to photograph her for me because I was practicing lighting, and I took my scarves, did some scarf work with her, and then I was doing a story for Abby's publication, Western Life Today, on hairstyles, and so I made her braid her hair and ride around with her braid blowing in the wind. So I got photos for my story for Abby, photos for the scarf company, and photos just for my portfolio.
That's that creative spark that we hope to share at the
And I
workshop.
paid her
Jennifer
$100.
has it in spades. She is very creative.
But that's the thing, is I paid her $100, and I'm, I didn't make much more than that. So, but it's great.
Sometimes they like the idea of being in a magazine too. Sometimes that is worth their while.
Yep.
Yep.
It depends on the situation. But those were beautiful photos. Those turned out really well.
Thanks.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight on the happy hour. We didn't really cheers or anything, but we are really happy that you joined us. Yeah. If you have questions, continue to reach out to Chris, to us, to Jennifer. I dropped the link to the workshop in the chat. It was really nice to see you all. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so
guys.
much.